So it's been a while since I've last played Honkai consistently, and I kind of just want to sort of rant over the gripes I've had with the game, with the reasons why I just stopped playing. Um, I feel like Honkai has felt a lot less like just a fun game, and it feels more like a job. Uh, Starting with the competitive, I guess competitive. Um, yeah, it's so draining just to play Abyss to like not even retain, you know? Um if I try to play Red Lotus, I just get absolutely smashed, and it's because I don't have uh I guess enough investment into characters, and by enough I mean by just not having the signature weapon and the characters you need, because to me I feel like Honkai has gotten to the point where the bosses and the content needed to be quote unquote difficult enough to where you need specific Valkyries to counter them. Like before, you could pick like one S rank damage dealer DPS and you could just run them through the entire game. Uh, Even if you were at a type disadvantage, they were perfectly fine. But now, if you really just want to stay competitive, you have to pick proper type counters. Now, that's not that it's part of the game. I understand that, but the problem is you're gonna be forced to pull three of those characters, like bio, psychic, and mechanical or whatever. And not to mention, you may also have to go for uh quantum or even imaginary. So you have to get like five characters of five Valkyrie types for like a damage type, and there's like four damage types in the game. Physical, uh, lightning, fire, and ice. So that's like what, like 20 characters you need to properly gear along with their weapons. And not to mention, you also have to get their supports. While the supports may or may not also need their own weapons, because yeah, if if you don't have the weapons for any like of the characters of the newer characters, such as like the SP supports or the S rank damage dealers, they feel like an incomplete character. Like FR without her pry weapon, her signature, feels like terrible. Like she's literally almost unusable. Like there's no situation where you want to use FR without her weapon, even if you have her SS. Same thing with HOT. Like I don't have HOT's signature weapon, and even though I have her stigmata set for Benares, she's not competitive at all. I have the SP Rita, SP, I forgot what it was called, but the new Rita, the new Fire Rita, that's mechanical. Well, I don't know if she's new, but regardless, the Fire Rita, I have all of her stigmatas, and I don't have her weapon. And if I try to attempt Andreas, she's not competitive. She's 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 so far behind, and she can barely beat what's her name, AKA and like Exalted, which is it feels so bad. And yeah, it's gotten really expensive to where if if you're not lucky, or if you weren't like being really smart and you were planning when to pull, uh right now it's just it doesn't feel good. It feels like you you're being punished by not spending money, or you're being punished because you didn't exactly plan things out. But for me, I could have tried to plan things out, but at that point it might have drained all the fun in the game, because I would be playing to win at that point. I'm not playing to have fun, and I'm just playing to get my characters up to a certain level that, like, if I see a new character that I think it's fun, I can't pull for them, because if I try to pull for them, oh, hey, I don't have enough crystals to pull for the gear I really need, or I don't have enough crystals left over to pull for that new character's weapon. And it's just, it feels like it's an endless cycle. Now, with the bosses for Exalted, they're not fun. They're really not fun anymore. They're incredibly bullet spongy to where they're they kind of have no mechanics. Most of their mechanics is just break shield, burst them down. Break shield, burst them down. Andreas, break the shield, burst them down. What's it? Shoot, there's more, but like BKE, break the shield, burst them down. Dark Bolt Jonin, break the shield, burst her down. It it's really repetitive, and even SSS bosses or triple S bosses in Memorial Arena aren't fun anymore too. They're there, just as bullet sponges. The bosses no longer reward you for your like smart like team building or your application of like specific teams. Instead, it's just a damage check. Can you deal enough damage to just one rotation the the boss? If you don't, well, good luck. You're gonna be there for like 5 minutes, and when you make a mistake on your rotation, you just you restart all over, and it's even more draining because you play, oh, you make a mistake, or you accidentally wipe, uh, restart. Like even playing for the crystals, it still doesn't even feel worth it, because like you're going through so much effort, and you're not being rewarded for it. Like you're not having fun, and not to mention just the overall difficulty of enemies. Enemies also are bullet spongy in a super string abyss or exalted abyss or whatever. Like if like the thing that I kind of hate is that the places I'm always in, the brackets, is Agni 3 and Red Lotus. Now, if I'm in Agni 3, it's so it's so easy. It's literally so easy. I fall asleep. But Red Lotus, it's like it's incredibly, it's not difficult, but the enemies are just bullet spongy, and it's frustrating. It's like, oh man, I don't have the proper gear. Oh, and these guys take like so long to beat. And there's it's not there's no in between to where it's challenging, but it's not incredibly challenging, and it's not easy. It's not as difficult, but it's not like, brain dead. Maybe add an agony 4, maybe, but yeah. Bosses incredibly tanky, enemies also incredibly tanky. Like there are some times where I can't even complete the second stage of Red Lotus, which is like dumb. And then when I don't complete that second stage to get into the boss stage, I drop to Agni 3 because, oh hey, yeah, you didn't score. And then you have these other people who have like, I guess, better gear. Okay, well, no. But regardless, the point is that it's now it's harder to stay competitive. You mainly get beaten by people who have way better gear than you, rather than you having really smart team setups as it was before. Like you run strange setups, but if it works, it works. But now it's like, hey, hey, you're not following the meta. Yeah, get bent. Now I understand you're supposed to follow the meta, but at that point there's no breathing room, nor any way to really just reward you for your game knowledge. It's just, hey, here's the meta team, follow it. There. But yeah, moving on, I guess. I think that's everything with the boss things. Like, yeah, characters are expensive. Um, if you're especially behind like me on gear, bosses incredibly tanky, not fun. The mobs in Red Lotus incredibly tanky, not fun. Oh yeah, also one more thing. The game does punish you if you actually don't have enough damage. Like I I hate imaginary bosses. Like just I utterly hate them. It's because if you kill the boss, hey, there's the core. Better beat this core in like 1 minute or something, because guess what? The boss will revive and you'll be stuck there when they revive like 3 bars of health that took you like a couple minutes to like br- break through, and it's like, especially if they're incredibly tanky, and then once you break their health down, oh, you still have to break the core, the imaginary core. Now, sure, there are imaginary Valkyries that you can use to execute them when the cores are at 20% health, but that's only if they are at 20% health. If you don't have the damage, or you're not fast enough to drop them to 20% health before you can execute with your imaginary Valkyrie, no, you're back at square one with with the imaginary boss reviving. But yeah, moving on. With the content of Genshin, okay, if you know, I complain a lot about Genshin Impact's content, about, oh, there's not enough content. Oh, I'm literally stuck here reading text. But in Honkai, it's pretty much the inverse. I feel like there's too much content. Now, hear me out, because having too much content, that sounds stupid. Um, it feels like there's so much content you have to do that I feel like I'm pressured to do the content, because I want to keep up with the meta, so I need to grab these crystals. So it's more like I feel like I have to grab the crystals rather than, oh hey, I want to play this event because the story interests me, or, oh look, this story, oh wait, sorry, this event has like an interesting gameplay, so I want to play. But instead, I'm just playing for the crystals. And not to mention, there's also these story events and other events which take a few days to complete. Now, it's fine if you want content, but it it takes way too long, and you're rewarded with like what, 300 crystals? Like, that's not much. Now, most of your crystals come from like Abyss, so you can just kind of ignore it. But if you don't, you're still missing out on crystals. So it's like, mm, you're not. I'm not having fun anymore with the story. I've kind of grown to dislike it. Well, the current story right now with the Flame Chasers, because the Flame Chasers story right now with like May talking to them and stuff, and oh hey, here's the past and stuff. eh, I feel like it's overstayed its welcome. Like at the first patch, it was like, oh hey, these guys, they're like humanity from the past, and it's like, oh, it's like interesting. It's like, oh hey, here's Fuhua. That's not Fuhua, because that was Fuhua before the current era, and like wow, like hey, here's Kevin, but he's not crazy just yet or whatever, and like it was kind of interesting, but it's gone for too long, and I don't care anymore, and I feel like I'm forced to do it just because of the crystals it gives. Uh, Not to mention that's at the early stages required um what are they called, for you to do Elysian Realm. Now, for me, I Elysian Realm wasn't fun for me. I'm not a fan of roguelikes. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of roguelikes because it kind of resets your entire progress once you lose, and then yeah. But overall, I feel like it was difficult. Like at some point, as like it maybe it's me being a being bad at the game maybe, but I could just never clear things like well. Like I could never clear at the hardest difficulty. Like even at the even with like my characters with like a good amount of investment, I just can't clear as well. Like I don't know if it's the difficulty spikes that they've increased or I'm just garbage at Elysian Realm because I'm bad at roguelikes, but me being forced to do Elysian Realm while listening to the story is just kind of not fun. Just because, oh, hey, here's a timer, you know? Complete the stage before that time runs out. And yeah, and then oh, you'll get bonus signets. So you'll have a better time or you can get an upgrade and it's like it's even more draining too. Not to mention how long the text is. There's so much, dialogue, and I understand that maybe some people like the story, but I kind of play Honkai for the combat unless the story's interesting. The only story that interests me was the story of Kiana, I guess. Why? It's because Kiana's story is interesting because she's not a chosen one, right? She's not destined for greatness. She's not destined to succeed. She's just she's just a normal person at the end of the day, basically. Like as normal as a person can get in whatever Honkai world. And when it's the flame chasers, I just don't care because there's so many of them and like half of them I don't care about. Like if I try to listen in, it's like, oh hey, these characters are so quirky. Look at them. Look, this cat girl, she likes money. Look, uh look, it's Mobius. She wants to use you as a lab rat. Wow. Now I know that's a very, very bad oversimplification, but I've spent like many hours trying to wait until it gets good and it doesn't get good. Now, I guess you could say, "Oh, just just listen to the story eventually it will get good at this amount of hours." Well, to be honest, if the story is not good to me at the first second, I'm not gonna care. Like you want me to invest hundreds of like a few like actually tens of hours, maybe even dozens of hours just to wait until the story gets good. And even then, like I go into different chapters within like because there's like I believe like three chapters of Elysian Realm and none of them were just interesting. It's like, oh hey, there's this quirky character, you meet him, okay, on to the next quirky character. You get a little bit of backstory on the character, and then you go on to the next quirky flame chaser, and it's like, I could be completely wrong, but the hours I've spent waiting until it gets good, just waiting and waiting and reading the story, it hasn't, and I just grown to really really dislike the flame chaser story just because none of the characters I like. I really dislike May, to be honest. Like like May is such a boring character. Like holy, she I feel like she like absolutely does nothing in the story. It's just you're there for the flame chasers and that's it. Like there's no character I'm interested in, and yeah, that's gone long enough. But and in addition you add it to other events which are with even more talking, and you're just growing and growing tired. You're just growing tired of how much text they put in. and in like the events, and you want to know about the story, but it's taking way too long, and not to mention you're already doing Abyss, so you're already drained and you have to listen to the story. Now sure, for some people they may find the story like relaxing, probably, like, the gameplay is not that difficult, but like in general, but like I feel like I'm there just for the crystals and not there to enjoy the story. Like again, if I enjoy the story, I'll listen to it, but if I don't, I'm not gonna do much. And yeah, those are the things of why I've kind of stopped playing Honkai, and I feel like it's just a job now. Every time it's like Monday or Friday for me, which is the global servers opening time for Abyss, it feels like I have to do it. But then when I don't do it and I miss out, I feel really bad because I missed out, and like I lost a bunch of crystals that I could have used to maybe pull for the next weapon, or pull for the next gear, or pull for the next character. And yeah, it, along with the events that I feel like I have to do, because again, I don't want to miss crystals so I can stay competitive. And then the story I don't care about, or I'm indifferent to. And it feels like the combat no longer rewards you for your game knowledge, and instead just rewards you for, hey, you have this meta character and their gear. Top top the charts of your bracket in Exalted, and the bosses are no longer fun just because they're really just tanky, and they're just very much, hey, they have a shield, break it down, burst them down. If you don't burst them down, hey, bad things will happen. There's not really any big mechanics you play around. It's just de- break their shield, burst them down, do this, do that, burst them down. Yeah. And I've been and to kind of fill the hole of the time that I usually spend on playing Honkai, I've pretty much branched out like two other games, like Yu-Gi-Oh, freaking Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, man, like what the frick, and and what's it called, Final Fantasy 14 online, and I've actually kind of enjoyed myself doing those things, because it's not a, it's been a whole lot better for me to just not worry about competing in Honkai, or about really just doing anything. Like even Memorial Arena, I have no like, I feel like not doing it anymore, because for the first few days, like I felt like I had to log back in. I had to get the crystals of logging back in. And then just gradually I just didn't feel like I needed to. And now, since it's been a few months since I've stopped playing, I felt like I didn't really need to at that point. Like playing Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a nice time. It really interactive. What's it called? Final Fantasy 14. It's giving actual like, I guess, interesting bosses with actual mechanics to play around. Unlike, hey, here's a shield, burst it down. Like, God. Yeah. If I've gotten anything wrong, I guess it's probably my fault. Like I probably have gotten something wrong in what's it called? Like I guess Elysian Realm, because like I don't know. I'm not good at roguelikes, but I know I'm competent at Honkai, but it's just things like Elysian Realm, it, somehow I'm not even good at. But yeah, I will have gotten. Hopefully, I don't have anything wrong. Like hopefully, because maybe something changed within the few months I haven't played, and that I was completely oblivious to it. So hopefully not. But yeah. Now, just a mention, like I freaking love Honkai. Okay, I was playing the game. No, I've been playing the game since at the start of global release. So like a month after at least. I literally have a what's it called? I have like a badge that shows that like my account was pretty much at the release of global. So yeah, I've been playing the game for a long while, and after just a few years, actually no, it's just been this year. It's just gotten very tiring. Like the bosses and stuff. Yeah, kind of just brain dead. Yeah. Yeah, you can tell I didn't really write a script for this just because I feel like I wouldn't be able to get my thoughts out or whatever. And so yeah, it's a freaking very long rant. And yeah, as much as I love the game, I don't enjoy um playing it anymore because yeah, it's draining. Like it's the first game that showed me that a mobile game can be good. This was the game that got me to buy a new phone, just to play Honkai at very playable frame rates. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun, but now it's kind of not fun anymore. So yeah, if you stayed this far, if I mentioned something wrong, yikes. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. Bye.